anyone from the public is able to tune in and watch if they would like. Last thing I need to do is read through our hearing script. This basically just covers the procedure for the hearing, then we'll jump right into it. So this is the April 27th, 2022 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220054. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. Unless a party has submitted evidence or testimony in the form of writing or digitally prior to this hearing, the hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. So Mr. Powers, that will be you. I just want you to tell me about the project, any background you think is good for me to know, and then why you think it's appropriate, why I should grant the relief. If there were anyone here from the public, I'd give them an opportunity to speak after you've had your opportunity. I'll give our zoning plans examiner, Walt Mueller, an opportunity to provide any testimony that he would like. Then I'll go back and give you a chance to respond to anything he said or to add anything additionally that you would like, and then make any final remarks before we close. Once everyone has testified, I'll close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony or documents that's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing. If there are any technical difficulties with Zoom, I'll do my best to troubleshoot that on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect with the tech today that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. I think we're ready to go. Last thing I'm going to do is just swear you guys in. Every witness that testifies has to be sworn. So if you guys could raise your right hand. I need everyone to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Let's see. Mr. Powers, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Floor is yours. What would you like me to know about this?
So I have the rental company down there that owns the property, and then I own the towing company that also rents the property. We store our vehicles there. It's been a work in progress. When I bought the property, it was wooded and it was pretty bad shape. So we've cleared the woods and cleaned up the paved lot that's there, and it's just been a kind of a continuing work in progress. There's a 5-foot fence that was part of the property. I think it's probably an original fence from the state of Ohio, because, if you're aware or not, but the back part of our property was the old exit ramp from I-74 to the Colerain Avenue before they redid all that. So when I moved in there, they had Walsh Construction was using that, or the state of Ohio was using it for storage. It's about an acre lot that's on the back side of there. They had an 8-foot fence there, temporary. Because the fence that was there at the property when I bought the lot, the 5-foot fence, it's in pretty bad disrepair. It's got a lot of holes in it, and it's probably 40 years old, 30 years old. So I kind of utilized the fence that the construction company had at the time, and I wasn't sure how long it was going to be there. They were telling me it was going to be there for 10 years plus. They were going to be using that property. But I was just informed here within the last couple months that I guess they're going to be out by summer. I've kind of got mixed information from different people that are on that project. One guy said they're going to be there for 10 years. One guy said 7. And then now they're telling me they're going to be out by summer. They're turning all those roads. They're paving, they're taking Powers and extending it up past Colerain Avenue. And then they're changing where Prang Street is on the backside of the property. So they're also telling me that they're going to be clearing my fence line and putting up a new 5-foot fence, but the whole thing with me with the wall, number one, I need 8-foot to cover the use for storing the vehicles, which we had before the construction company about 2 months ago took their 8-foot fence down, because they're moving on through their different phases of construction. So they no longer needed it. So my utilization of it kind of ended at that point. So I need to get the 8-foot wall in there. And now I want to do a wall because of security issues. People, even the fence that the construction company had there, there was probably 5 or 6 holes cut in it, and I just had a customer pick up her car yesterday, and somebody had tried to attempt to cut the catalytic converter off. And we have cameras and lights, and you can only do so much. And a fence, they're just going to cut through it. But because it's on the back side of the property, that's where everybody's getting in at, is the back side of the property. But the construction company took their fence, now that all that's there is that dilapidated 5-foot that was there for the 30 years. The state of Ohio also, the construction company that's there working on it advised me that they're going to clear that tree line that's on the backside of my property with some bulldozers, and they're going to put up, when they're finished with the street, part of their project is to put up a 5-foot fence to kind of mark the edge of the state of Ohio's property line or easement or whatever they called it. But I need 8 foot, based on the use. And so I want to put an 8-foot wall up there because, it's going to keep crime or people from getting into my lot. I don't have any problems. Nobody's cutting through the front fence, where all the lights and the cameras are mounted, because Colerain's quite traveled. So I don't have any issues with anybody coming in. They're all coming through that backside. So that wall is going to have 2 uses, going to get me in compliance with the use. And then it's also going to keep me secure, so I can keep mitigating some of this loss that we're incurring with people that storing their cars there.
Okay. Just taking a closer look here. Let's see. Did you say that there was some fence or structure on this on these borders before?
Yeah, when I bought the property, it was in a bunch of different parcels, and I had to have it surveyed because it wasn't proper. So I got it surveyed, and now they have a property line, and it pretty much coincides with the fence that was there when I bought the property, give or take a foot, and then the construction company, I recently submitted that to Great Lakes Construction Company, because they're doing the project now that's, doing the street and the fence and all that. Because when I talked to one of the supervisors that was on the site, and he was showing me where they were marking their lines, and there was, starting at the it would be the northeast corner, right where Colerain and Power Street meet. Their mark was about 8 inches on the outside of my fence. But as it worked its way around south to the west, they were about 8 feet into my property. And I said, wait a minute, that's my property line. I had this surveyed, I have stakes in the ground, and I had this all done a couple years ago. So I submitted my survey to them to try to line it up with what they're doing. And I had recently talked to Jake Elmore at Great Lakes Construction. He advised me that they're going to make sure that it falls in line. But, the fence that's there is going to be gone when they're done, because they're going to take they're taking the trees and everything. When they're done, they're going to take a bulldozer and clear all that out to put their fence up. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, well, they're going to have it at fence, and then I don't know, it's going to be right on my property line. So I guess I'm going to have to put this wall right on the inside of the fence. It's just it's kind of strange the way it's set up, but yeah. So like where the fence is now, it's basically where my property line is, but it does kind of waver, within a foot of my property.
Gotcha. Okay. And let's see, and this is all going to be non-street frontage.
Colerain Avenue's street frontage, in Power Street, when they're done with their construction, I don't know if you consider it frontage or not, but there is going to be streets on 3 sides of my property. Prang Street's going to be on one side, and you're going to have Power Street on the other. And then, of course, Colerain's already on the one side.
Which direction is Powers? I'm not seeing Powers here.
There's Powers Place, and there's 2 different ways. There's Powers on one side of Colerain, on the other side of Colerain, and there's Powers. There's an alley that connects, and they're turning that alley into a street. They're bringing that through, I guess, for tractor trailer traffic. I guess they're having some kind of issue with tractor trailer traffic, and so to try to mitigate that, they're bringing that Power Street through to the other side through the alley.
Gotcha. Okay. And Walt, I'll give you a chance to jump in here. I'm going to share my screen just so I can ask some pointed questions. Are you guys seeing the Google Maps here?
Yeah.
Okay. So will the wall go all the way back to here and along this section here? Is that what
No,
you're-
it's going to be on the other side of the tree line. Yeah, there.
right here?
That's my property line. Yeah.
Will it go all the way up? Because this is Powers, right?
Yeah. Well, see that those trees right there where you just had your cursor there, that Power Street is going to go through to Colerain Avenue when it's all said and done. So that area is gone.
Gotcha. Okay. So,
So about where your cursor is there. Yeah, right there where your cursor is. That'll be the start of it. It'll wrap around to the other side where you see that pile of orange barrels.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Walt, so you had your hand up. Do you want to add anything here?
No, I was just going to share a screen similar to that. That's a little more recent if you wanted to see that.
Sure.
So if you can, here's what he's talking about. Here's Powers. They're going to take that through.
Yep.
And then this is his property line here,
Gotcha.
Yep.
right there.
Okay. And Walt, could you put that back up? I mean, I can, just to save me a second here, pulling up cages. What's the zoning across the street? Do you know?
I'd have to pull up cages right there. It's all MG.
Oh, that's all. It's all MG there.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And is the use, I mean, it looks like to the west there on Prang and Powers, that looks like a manufacturing use, but is there any other manufacturing use around there? Looks like some residential.
There's right down here in this corner is a little residential, but the rest of this is all manufacturing, storage, warehouse type thing till you get way down here on Powers.
Okay. All right. Walt, anything you wanted to add other than that?
Just once we get to the conditions, I can explain that. I think he's aware of what he needs to do there. So, and we can talk about that.
And Mr. Powers, before I forget, how much, I've always wondered this, how much are these catalytic converters worth on the black market?
Well, the car in question that just recently, it was only there for 2 days. And there was a big ring going around when I first moved in there, and apparently they got caught, and they were from the West Coast, and my lot was getting hit heavy. And I put cameras and lights up, and that really made a difference. And apparently that ring got busted, and I haven't had that many problems peppered here and there. I've had a couple issues, but this car in question was there for 2 days. It was a 2019 Kia Sportage, and they had half the converter cut. And I don't know if they got spooked, if one of my guys got there or something happened, but apparently they got spooked and left. So fortunately it was intact. But, on the black market, that catalytic converter is probably worth $500 to $700, but for me to repair that vehicle, to replace that catalytic converter is probably in the range of $2,000 to $3,000 based on the fact you don't just have to buy typically the newer cars, the catalytic converter is part of a section of pipe, or it might have two involved in it, so they don't just put one in it and repair it. They replace the part in whole, which is typically a section of the exhaust, and it can get really expensive. So yeah, I mean, all the way up to some of these converters are worth $1,000,
Okay.
And it's based on market fluctuations.
Gotcha. Okay. That was sort of an aside. I've just always been curious. I've heard of that.
Yeah. Well, that's why they're so, it's up right now, especially with the war in Ukraine. They were a big supplier of palladium and platinum, and that's what's in those things. And now it's not coming over. So the price has really skyrocketed. And I think and summertime is usually when you have the more problems. Wintertime is typically the law. So, when it's real cold outside, those guys don't want to be out there in the snow and in the cold underneath the cars trying to steal them. So it kind of slows down. But summertime is when it really heats up and you start seeing more problems.
Gotcha. That just $500-600 seems like such a nominal fee to take such a big risk, but
right, yeah,
that's
right.
neither here nor there. Okay, so Walt mentioned some recommendations. So in his staff report, he recommended that I approve this application, but he recommended that I apply some conditions. Did you have a chance to look at his staff report at all?
I'm sorry?
You have a chance to look at his staff report at all?
No, I did get some emails, and I'm a little obtuse when it comes to this. I saw some emails come through about documents were added, but then I couldn't, there was some kind of login information. I thought, well, maybe I'm just getting notifications and it's an internal thing. So I didn't see anything that was added to it.
Sure. So I'll just read them to you. He recommended that that any use of the unpaved area for the automobile holding facility be discontinued as a condition
Yep.
of approval, and that that the applicant remove the office trailer that is currently on site.
Mhm.
So those are recommendations. I can accept them and incorporate them into the decision or not. But I'd like to give the applicant an opportunity to respond to those, whether they whether they like to push back on that, or whether that's something that they're okay with.
Well, in terms of the vehicles, we did move a lot of those vehicles off of the gravel lot. You know, my intentions with the property and then the 2-year project. In 2 years, I plan on having a building and having the entire lot paved. You know, I'm currently working with an architect and with some plans to have a building constructed. The office was a temporary thing to try to have somewhere to, you know, I have somebody there 3 days a week during the day. It's somewhere for them to go and kind of just have a place to put their paperwork and then whatnot. But, you know, I certainly, I understand why he wants it out of there. You know, I don't have a permit for it. So, you know, my thing was I know there's other towing companies that are utilizing trailers and as a matter of fact, RVs to use as offices. And, you know, I'm just trying to run my business and get by the best way I can until I can get the project moving along, you know. And like I said, you know, I think this whole wall project is kind of the catalyst, you know, and with all the construction going on in the back, I'm pulling the trigger and the gears are turning, albeit a little slowly, but they are turning. So, you know, with the cars, you know, we're moving them and we're liquidating a lot of the cars out of there. We're going to try to keep it our best to maintain that. And, you know, the gravel we put down, because it was a muddy mess after we clear all the trees out. And I think just over time, it's mitigated over or propagated over to that area. You know, as you build cars, you got to tell drivers, try to keep it off the gravel. And it exacerbated into a problem. But we did move about 50 cars, you know, and got rid of some and moved them up onto the pavement. And some of the pavement's kind of broken up and you move into the gravel, you know, there's gravel on top of pavement. So it's kind of hard to see the line exactly where it is. But, you know, we are moving the cars and then the trailer. I'm hoping I can maybe maintain that till I get my building up there and maybe use it while I'm getting my building built.
Gotcha. Okay. So, no issue with removing the cars from the unpaved area, but
No.
would like the opportunity to use the office trailer until the other building is built. Is that right?
Correct. And I am currently working with architect Bob Strunk with plans to do all that.
Got it. Okay. Walt, anything further from you?
Yeah, they did. He did apply for a permit for that several years ago, and it was denied and should have been removed then. So I still stand by it. It needs to go. I know it might be an inconvenience for him, but he has currently, from what I can see in that February picture that I displayed just a minute ago, probably close to 70 cars that are parked offside the gravel area. So it's just something that continues to expand there. If I look at monthly pictures, the one in February is the most cars he's ever had on that gravel area. So we need to start going in the other direction or get the application in for the new paving and the new building as soon as possible.
Got it. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Mr. Powers, anything else in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today?
No, Walt, I'm working on those cars. I've got, we moved a whole bunch of them. If you want to drive by there today, maybe take a look and see what you think. But there are still a few that we're working on moving. And that bus, there's a old Metro bus in there that should have been gone a month ago, just with the place the scrapyard that takes it. They just can't, they're saying they can take it in the next couple of weeks. So that should be out there in the next couple of weeks. I'll have it out of there and that's going to open up quite a bunch of room. And we're still working on it actively. So it is being worked on.
Okay. All right. So we'll leave it at that then. I don't have a problem with the wall. I think that it's fine in this location. I'm going to approve the wall, but I do need to take a closer look at the conditions on this and take a look, maybe do a site visit, see what's reasonable over there before I assign the conditions. But I think that there will be at least one of these conditions attached to the final decision. So that give me a couple weeks. As soon as I have a final decision, I have to write that out and formalize it in like a written opinion. On that opinion, the conditions will be attached, whatever those conditions end up being. And as soon as I finish that, I put it into a PDF and I send it to everybody in the hearing. So Mr. Powers, you'll have a copy of that decision as soon as it's finished. And once you have that, you can start working with Walt again on the permitting. Let's see. Do you have any questions about any of that process right now?
No, not at this time.
Okay. If you do have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me directly, or if you just want a status update on the decision, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to provide that to you. And yeah, I think that's it. We'll leave it at that. Thank you again, Mr. Powers, for your time, your testimony here this morning. Good luck with the project. And yeah, we are adjourned. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, Dave.